Hello, I hope you're well. This page looks a little bit crazy, but basically in this video, I will be sharing with you some of my favorite hand lettering fonts that I use very often in my planner. As you can see, it is a very crucial part of my spreads, and I think it just makes things look very nice. I get a lot of questions about how I do my hand lettering, so I hope this video is somewhat helpful. I'm going to be showing you two fonts. These first two that you can do with any pen, gel pen, brush pen, whatever that you have on hand. And then this one and this one, I would recommend using a brush pen. And then this last one is kind of combining the two together. And quickly, as my favorite materials, my favorite gel pen are the Energel Clenas. For smaller hand lettering and brush lettering, like this one, I like the Tombow fudenosuke hard tip. And then for these like very bold lettering, I use the Tombow fudenosuke soft tip. And then for adding color, I generally use the Tombow dual brush pens. Definitely not sponsored by Tombow. I just happen to use their products a lot. So I hope this is helpful and good luck. Okay, the first font that I will be sharing with you is what I like to call my Wonky bubble lettering font. I use this very often in my planner. Here's an example. Here's another example, another one. So you get the idea. Basically, I use it very often. And it's because it is very quick and easy, and also because it is by default a wonky font. If you kind of mess up a little bit, it's very forgiving to write it off as just, part of the character of the font. So before I dive into the alphabet, I will talk a little bit about how I kind of approach doing this font and how you can apply this for anything you want to do. For example, if you write in Japanese or something, you can still implement these principles. So let's pick a random letter. Let's say the uppercase letter B. What you want to keep in mind is the skeleton of the letter. So I'm going to assume you know how to write the letter B, just like that. So this is what you want to visualize. And when you actually do the font, you basically just want to outline the skeleton. Without actually touching it. So obviously this one is a little chunky because I'm trying not to touch the marker, but if I were to actually do it freehand, it would look like this. And again, it's supposed to be wonky, so it doesn't really matter if things aren't even. And I also like to tilt the letters in opposite directions, just to kind of add character. So you can see that the W is going this way. The O doesn't really have a direction because I make it perfectly circular, but you can kind of see this is where I ended. N goes this way, K goes this way, Y goes this way. So you can see it tilts in opposite directions. And again, this just adds to the wonky look. This next one is what a lot of people call modern calligraphy. You can just do so with a regular gel pen. You don't need a brush pen or dip pen. And this is kind of how my style looks like. Here's an example here, here, and here. Another one here, and also here as well. So again, I use this one very often in my planner. As you can see, it's very loopy. Definitely not traditional handwriting or calligraphy. What I would recommend for you to do is practice the letters a few times, but then after that, definitely try practicing phrases where, all of the letters are connected rather than just like drilling yourself with individual letters, because when you actually utilize it in your spreads and journals, you're going to be writing phrases and not individual letters. So what I really recommend for you to practice are the loops. For example, on the letter G or J or Y. I guess I should write a dot. What else? Letter Z as well. So you can see that this loop, it's the same across all 4 of these letters. Also with, let's see, B, D, F, H, and a few others like L and stuff. This part of the loop is all the same. So I would recommend practicing that as well, because you can just apply it across all of them. So after you finish practicing all of the letters, you can definitely make some modifications that elevates your hand lettering. Just one example is adding a little bit of depth. One principle that I want you to remember is thick downstrokes. So let's take the letter B, for example. We go up, down, and then up. That's the letter B. So again, the principle is thick downstrokes. So wherever there is a downstroke, we go up, and then down. This is where you want to add a little bit of thickness. So again, up, and then this goes down, and then up, and then this is where we go down again. Add a little bit of thickness, and then up. So there's nothing else to do here. Let's take another example. The letter H. So again, we go up, and then we encounter a downstroke. So this is where we add some depth. Up, and then down, and then we go up again. So you can leave it like this. It looks super cool, but you can also shade it in if you want to. And this is kind of how you can get a brush lettering look without actually using a brush pen. Another modification you can do to make your lettering look a little bit more dainty is to space it out just a bit. Let's say I want to write the word hi. This is just like a normal lettering, but to make it daintier, you can stretch it like this. And now it just looks a little bit more elegant. Something else is, for example, again, the word hi. You can see that the slant is going towards the right. You can also change up the look a little bit by writing upright. So you can see that all of the vertical lines are straight. So now we're gonna get into the brush lettering territory. This honestly is just like my regular handwriting, but I apply the principle that I mentioned previously, which is to have thick downstrokes. And so I don't know if I can even call this a font because I literally just use it regularly. Actually, yeah, I literally use it every single day to write the word today. But some other examples. This is an example. This is also an example, but a little bit smaller. Here as well, when in doubt, draw a duck. So once again, the principle is thick downstrokes. So let's take the letter A. We have a downstroke here. We go up here and then down here. So you can see this is where all of the thick strokes are. So pressure when going down, thin when going up, pressure when going down. Looks a little wonky when I go so slowly, but this is typically what I would make it look like. Let's do another example, the letter M. So we go down, up, and then this is where we go down, up, and then down. So again, pressure, going up, down, up, down. And then again, when I write it quickly, it looks a little better, I think. This next part isn't really a rule, it's just some observation that I made for my own personal style, but you can see for the letter M and N, I tend to make the last bar go down further. I think it just adds a little bit of interest to my lettering. I also tried to keep my alphabet pretty neutral, but I couldn't help myself. You can already see that I kind of bounce my letters, if that makes any sense. So for example, when I write the word blue, this is my natural instinct. And you can see where the bottom of each letter is. Whoops. Sorry about that. You can see where the bottom of each letter is, and there is kind of a bounce to it. So it goes down, up, down, up. This just adds a little bit of playfulness that I really like with my lettering. Okay, so this would be more of a classic brush lettering, hand lettering sort of font that you see very often. I also use this font a lot over here, and over here as well when I wrote serious, but I used a skinnier brush pen, so that's why it looks different. This is actually very similar to modern calligraphy, but for my personal style, I do make a few modifications. For example, I get rid of any unnecessary loops, for example, in the letter B and D. I just find that this looks a lot cleaner without all of the loops. And the same as what I said here, I would recommend practicing the letters a few times, but from then on, just practice writing phrases and letters, because when you actually use this font, you're going to be writing, connected letters rather than each letter individually. What can I say about this? I also apply a lot of the same principles as I do here, and in fact, I often combine these two fonts, and it kind of becomes hard to distinguish. So let's say I want to write the word, I don't know, crown. I just thought of that. This is what it would look like in this hand lettering font. And then if I were to write the word crown with this kind of regular font, it would look like this. However, what I often do is kind of combine them together, and it'll look something like so. The main difference would be, for example, I don't connect the R with the O, and it's a lot more vertical rather than slanted. This, I kind of just make a split-second decision, and it's based on my intuition of what I think would look good. So I don't really have any hard and fast rules about this. So it definitely comes with a lot of practice, which I know is very annoying to hear, but I promise, like, if you just keep practicing all of these different things, you will develop your own intuition for what looks good and what doesn't. And to someone else, this might look like garbage. So yeah. Last but not least, this is probably one of my favorites. Now you can do this with just a regular pen, or you can even add some color, as I've done here with a brush pen like the Tombow Dual Brush Pen. You can also use whatever markers you have on hand. You can use watercolors. You get the idea. And of course, let me find some examples. Sunday reset. Good morning. Design day. So if you don't add color, this is actually very similar to the first font that I showed, except it's kind of combining with this one as well. Basically, it's following the same principle of a thick downstroke, but instead of it being solid, you kind of just outline it. So for example, the letter R over here, there's a little piece of hair. Let me first write it down. This is just a regular letter R. With this font, you basically just do an outline. And again, it's kind of like a wonky font, so it doesn't matter too much if things aren't even or perfect. Here's a letter A. And then if you want to add some color, you can definitely do that. I like using a brush pen. So let's say the letter B. Let it dry a little bit. Instead of perfectly outlining the marker, I like to add a little bit of like white around it, if that makes any sense. Kind of just adds to the imperfect look. So for example, over here, you can see a little bit of white space. I also don't mind that there's a little bit of color that goes outside of the lines. As you can see, my thing is to not take things so seriously, and that way, you know, if you mess up, then you can't really tell. So I hope this was somewhat useful. Again, I don't take things too seriously, so I don't have any like super strict rules, but I will say the biggest tip that I have is to just letter. That sounds a little weird using it as a verb, but to just, apply these things into your planner and your journal. Don't worry about mistakes. You can do 20 million worksheets, but if you don't actually, hand letter the things you typically write about in your planner, you're never going to get good at them. Wishing you the best of luck, and I will see you next week. Bye.